There we go. Um, so I'm going to obviously bring the pain on Luke and cover this trade.
Cool.
Euro
Dead cool. Thanks, Lee.
CAD. Slow down. There's Matt just joined or joining. So I'll start from higher. We'll start from higher. No, that'll do. That'll do. That'll do. We're not winning any awards for smoothness tonight, for sure. So higher time frame on EuroCAD, as you can see from my structure drawing, we have 4 hour bullish. I believe this is a 4 hour pullback. It's not the I'm not 100% sure that that's a 4 hour pullback, but based on it's just a big pullback, to be fair. Yeah, based on it's just a big pullback. If this was the high here and we'd have got some of this 15-minute bearish structures, then I'd have been more sure. But because this takes that high and then we just get a big pullback, um, so might be the 4 hour, might be the 4 hour pullback, might not be. Obviously, I'll come back to why this might be important very shortly. But basically, from there, we start getting 15-minute structures, bullish structures. So on this final push up here, we get obviously a low put in, the final high, and then obviously over the last couple of months, it's been whipped. So I'm moving drawings. Yes, so over the last from obviously that high, we've come bearish. We've taken the previous 15-minute low. We've pulled back into an area that's of interest. We built up liquidity before it tapped into the interest, so we've got a trend line here, takes a trend line, and then starts breaking 1 minute lows. That was so there's a couple of entries on this. Obviously, I didn't entertain the first one, or I don't even remember marking it up to be fair, but I did. I've got the imbalances marks. But what price has done once it's come back into, obviously it's tapped into an imbalance favour left here. It's then broke 1 minute to downside again. I was looking at it as this is a possible new 15-minute high because we've broken 1 minute to downside here. Obviously it's come back up, filled the imbalance in the recent point of interest. So still had that down as my 15-minute, a possible new 15-minute point of interest. What price has done then is obviously it's tapped into the highest imbalance here, and then it's shown 1 minute break to downside in there. So I'll just change time frames. I'll go to the 15, but this is my 1 minute purely on the 15 so you can see more candles. So obviously we made a low. I think that's actually the change code to the upside, but leading up to the prices, we get a low, obviously high, low, high, higher high, higher low, high high, higher low. Taps and fills the first imbalance just about, and then we get a break to the downside here, confirming that obviously we are then on course to maybe make at least a new 1 minute low, probably 15-minute low, because obviously the 15 had told us favour to the left that we covered a minute ago. And then it's come up and obviously it's tapped something and has gone on to make a new 15-minute low. Let me just minimize the seconds. So as you can see, it has gone and made a new 15-minute low. So we've got this structure here. I'll just highlight it so you can see. Yeah, so you can see that it's made a high, and because the 1 minute breaks at downside, like I say, it's the 1 minute is the alias sign. The 1 minute break to downside is the on a let me start again. So confirms 15-minute bearish with this breaker structure down here. Price comes up. So once it's coming back up, obviously coming back up, the 1 minute is bullish. So we get higher highs, higher lows created. So the 1 minute breaker structure is the first sign that the pullback may be coming to an end. Now, obviously, we see that 1 minute breaker structure confirms the continuation for the bullish. If it remains bullish, it confirms the end of the bearish swings. So 1 minute break to downside. So once we're happy with the 15 minutes, obviously confirmed bearish, we just want the 1 minute to effectively confirm it, and then obviously we would go and find an entry. So now I majorly messed up on this, and I'll show you why. I've left my original entry box on. So entry for me was anywhere above this candle here. Obviously, this come back up straight away, but anticipated it being higher than this little pullback here. Let me just widen that. Obviously, if any questions, guys, just butt in and ask away. So the red zone was actually my entry. Now, if you look carefully enough, obviously my entry zone was invalidated from the get-go because it had already been filled. So I don't actually know what I did. I must have like bar replayed something, and I must have accidentally not included this price action in the when I was skimming through for an entry. Like I say, because price from anywhere. Yeah, bar replay for me. Yeah. Start new. As I say, I'll do that one, to be fair. Do it from there. So, as I would always say to you guys, as soon as it breaks to 1 minute, if you were to effectively bar replay from the point it breaks, it's the point that you see on my screen there. Oh, go away. From that point there. So all this, after it breaks to 1 minute, anything in this is valid for a possible entry up to this high. Obviously, because that's the high that's the high, and then after we get the break to downside. So I'll show you my entry, which is daft and wrong. Like I say, it's been mitigated. As you can see, this wick high up here. Let's get the seconds back. As you can see, it was a nice looking zone. It was just filled. It was dead already. And then what we can do from there is I'll show you the actual entry. So vertical line. Now this is obviously what I tell you to do week in, week out, is draw a line from the relevant price. Now it's obviously a bit to the left, actually, because this zone gets taken. Obviously this zone is filled, so price comes and wicks through just above it, but I'll get to that in a minute. So as you can see here, there's a decent little up push, decent down push. It actually you could actually technically get it tighter, but spreads would have done you in. So price actually, I believe, comes into that point there. Because technically that's where the imbalance is, but like we're dealing with a pipette as a zone, so you're not getting taught that anywhere else. Go away. Yeah, look, the order block that puts in that imbalance is a pipette. So now my brokers on EuroCAD is, I think it was flicking between a pipette and two pipettes. So, I mean, if you was that tight, like I say, you'd have to at least cover a little bit more, so you're tapped in and obviously spreads above. So, but it taps and fills that zone to the dot. As I'll show you in a minute. Leave that. Yeah, so as we see there, price comes out and taps that level perfectly. Yeah, fills that. So could have been a super mega trade. That was my fuck up.
It hurts me every time I see it because that's the zone I had.
Yeah.
It really does. Right, that could have been my first winner.
Yeah.
A nice winner.
It definitely would have been, mate. It's yeah.
Why did you cancel it, Luke?
Because I lost 2 on the bounce.
Because it's gay.
Okay.
Because I'm gay, Matt. That's it.
Well, let's clear that up then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Matt. Not you, Matt, just Mouse Matt. And yeah, it's just been free falling ever since. So
Where do you think it's heading to now?
this is a good question because I was just about to cover it. So 4 hour bullish. This is why I was talking about this zone here as possible pullback. I'll just delete that one a sec. Delete a couple of these imbalances just to clear up my screen a touch. Right, so the reason why this 4 is a possible important for a 4 hour pullback is because I would say we are coming, because we're 4 hour bullish still, sorry, we might just be 4 hour pulling back. So obviously if this is the start of the 4 hour and this is the end of the 4 hour bullish leg, then we might get 2 or 3 swings to confirm a 4 hour pullback, and then it may continue 4 hour long. So at the minute, the anticipation is that obviously I don't know exactly where it's going to pull back to, but if we come somewhere in here, maybe that I've obviously got markups for, it might well come and tap something like that. It may come and do that basically, but with a 4 hour change of color of it. So hopefully we get something like that. So reasons why, and this will be good for Ellen because she said she struggles with this, is so this little area took this high, this little 4, obviously like I said that's a 4 hour pullback, so that means that's a 4 hour high. Further to the left, it also daily. Actually, we'll do the weekly, be able to fit it all in the screen maybe. So further left, obviously, you can see it takes this high, this big red one here, and obviously there's sort of stuff above it that it might come in to tap into as well. So yeah, it takes a major high further to the left, and that's all from. Come back to the 4, and then find out where it was. So yeah, this little zone, is it that one? No, sorry, the one above. Yeah, all this zone here, like I said, this is the one that takes to this one, and then this big red line to the left, all possibly comes from this little zone here. So, let me back it in. So if this is the one that's the cause and where the big order money goes into, obviously take major highs, take liquidity, whatever like that, then what would basically, for me, obviously, that then means that that's a 4 hour point of interest. Now, obviously, you could mark this to down here if you really wanted to, but I mean, it's reacted from that sort of area. It's come back, mitigated whatever it wanted to in there as the 4 hour point of interest, and then we've broken 15-minute again. So this zone here, and obviously I've got all these imbalances marked, is what ideally I'd like to see now is price to effectively come back into this orange zone. The orange zone could be made bigger. I'll take a look in a minute, but what I'm hoping is a 4-15-1 play. So 15-minute pullback, 15-minute bearish break, change of character break structure, pullback, another new low being put in possibly now. We might well get a 1 minute break to the upside in somewhere in this. I'd want it to be a decent change of character, like so. Ideally, this will pull back maybe Monday, tomorrow, pull back all day tomorrow, come tap in something in this, and then break to the upside. Maybe fill half of this, and then come back to tag an entry before we continue that 4 hour leg, bullish leg. Obviously, that would be the 1 minute structure there. So, obviously, we're still waiting on confirmations for that. So, yeah, this sort of area where it's currently at is my area of interest. So, obviously, the 15-minute zone, we've got the orange box here. It takes some form of liquidity under here, and then obviously it leaves a decent push, and then obviously breaks more 15-minute structure highs there. So it's a good enough reason for a zone in an area. It's just a case of how low do we think it's actually coming. Minutes. And so obviously I've marked this from, should have been the wick low, and then it's generally to the lowest imbalance. So I've got a zone in here marked. I have no idea what that is, but I've got imbalances marked in here anyway. So like I say, but ideally it'll fill one of these and then give a 1 minute break to the upside. I think it's a touch higher at the minute. Let's go back to current price. Yeah, so we're at that top imbalance at the minute. Yeah, so I've currently just tapped into this that's also been filled anyway. So let's have a look at that. It's not market open, so might be an old marking before it took it out when I'm at that. Yeah, no, that imbalance is taken. But it looks like it's there anyway, but obviously that's market close anyway, so I'm anticipating it will at least come lower and take it anyway. Take a look. Yeah, it's tapping in some in here. I do have lower markings anyway, like I say. So I do think it will come a touch lower. got all that to come through. And we've got stuff going on here as well, so I must have drawn these months ago as well, so these probably need checking, but so big push away. I'd like it to come and take that, obviously. Something goes on in here. That might be filled, it might not be. Check on the 5. Now I'm checking on the 5 because of this down candle and up candle in here. So it looks like, obviously, just on the 10-second, that looks like the imbalance is about filled, but the 5-second might reveal more imbalance, which it seems to. So imbalance is to about there. As you see, the imbalance starts much lower. So obviously, the more you test and look at these sort of things, you'll start to notice that big down up candles that look side by side on a slightly lower time frame will sometimes reveal something a bit more. And then I think nothing major in there. That's an okay push, but I'll be keen to look at this blue zone. I marked it for a reason. So from there. And then obviously there's an imbalance just above this blue zone. But I'll check on the 5 because I bet that looks shite. Not best. But maybe just above it is a bit better. Oh, come on. Lower zone's not too bad. This is higher zone's much better, to be fair. I say it's always worth checking the slightly lower if it's not. Now, obviously, I suspected that this was not the best looking after looking at it just then. Obviously, this zone looks far better on the 1 second. So, still waiting on confirmations for that though. So don't just decide you're buying from them imbalances because we are currently, like I say, still bearish. 15-minute bearish. So there will be obviously. I mean, if that's if what we've just covered is the right sort of zone, then there'll be multiple opportunities anyway. So the first one being is, like I say, it's very dangerous. You could literally stick an entry on that lowest imbalance that we just marked up. Very dangerous because everything's bearish at the minute. So 15 minutes bearish, 1 minute's bearish going up to it. The 4 hours technically long bullish, but you're sort of gambling on where you think it's going to turn around. And let's be honest, how often are we getting that exactly right without further confirmations? So the first entry, most dangerous there. There, make that thinner. So first possible entry, dangerous, very dangerous. After that, there will be what I've drawn here. So if we get the 1 minute break to the upside, if we get something like that, then the next entry will be obviously from so hard with that mouse. Can anyone else hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, is it just his volume down? Yeah, yeah. As long as you can hear me, guys, obviously he'll watch it back as well. So, yeah, so the second entry would be after the 1 minute break. So at this point, let me just find the thing. Second possible entry would be there as an example. Less risky because we've had a confirmation of the direct possible direction. So something like that. Obviously, I'm not setting TPs on this. It'll be whatever you guys think it's doing at that time. And then the next possible entry would be after it breaks the 15-minute high. Obviously, there'll be other strategies and ways of getting in as well. So if this is a 1 minute break here, obviously, if it takes this 15-minute high here, so price will come up there, and then at some point it will likely come back to mitigate something in here, obviously that causes the 15-minute break. So we'll imagine it's there. So same again, we'll get one. There'll be an imbalance in here that it first mitigates. Then we'll get another 1 minute break to the upside. So these two entries we've got that we've marked first, like I said, it's the same again, but on a 15-minute process. So they'll be just getting in just on an imbalance in here. Then we'll get a break, probably get a 1 minute break. And then obviously it'll come back for mitigation of that. And then obviously it will possibly do something similar if we then break the 4 hour high again. But that'll be possibly way up here somewhere. Delete them. Is there any questions on that? No.
You know the 1 minute swings?
Yeah.
So if you missed the first one after the boss, would
Yeah.
you try and get in for the second one? Or would you go for what you've just said?
Yeah, so yes and no. If it's clean, I will, yes. If it's not, no. So obviously what we was trying to the sell I was trying to catch, obviously Thursday. Was it Thursday? Yeah, sell Thursday is technically the second swing. So because this made a high, we're just come back a so 15-minute break. We technically should a first entry should have been this yellow imbalance fill here. There should have been an entry on that there because it made a high and then 1 minute break to downside. So technically entry should have been something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I say, we've had the 1 minute break after the 15. We're just fortunate enough that it gives another go. So technically this is the second 1 minute swing here. Like I say, we get another one.
Yeah.
So yes is my answer. But this
sometimes it doesn't happen quite like that.
Yeah, so these it's the same on any swing. It's just you've like these pull back deep. Like that first one's pretty much the last imbalance fill, and then obviously it breaks. Like there was no guarantee that this would, like if this didn't come back so high up here, it might have filled something down here, and then obviously that would make it less easy to find, sort of thing. So yeah, when they pull back like deep into the previous structure, it's I find it's always that bit easier because it's a bit more certain, if that makes sense. And it's because it's pulled so far back, it takes out so much imbalance. And like up here, I think there was two obviously I made the fuck up, but above that there's like one more imbalance above it. So if it's gonna if the trade's going to play out, it's almost a 50-50 chance on the two areas that you'd maybe take, or it might lose, obviously. So you've got three outcomes. The one that it actually tapped, the one above it that didn't, or it's going to take the whole thing out, and the whole thing was wrong. Whereas if you put an entry down here, like there's so many imbalances above, it's riskier, but don't mean it's not. It don't mean it's not right. You've just got to decide at the time which ones you prefer the best. But like it's still a second swing, and it just becomes difficult when they don't pull back so far back, I suppose is what I was trying to say.
Okay, cool.
I think you'll maybe. I mean, we'll take a look at some anyway. But I think I feel quite comfortable saying that most of my trades that I do take do have a deep pullback rather than say just past the 50% mark, because I mean I think they're just more risky and harder to read, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Take a look at that anyway, because being gay. I think the bloody button's not working now. Wow. There we go. I am struggling here. There we go. Do you use that one? We'll move on. Just pissing me off. Again, as well, this is. I know we was on about Euro CAD possibly buying up. Euro odds are very similar as well. So possibly a buy from obviously somewhere in here. Again, it's still waiting for confirmation though. So I mean, this isn't very old markings, but I obviously might wipe out the whole zone and fuck it right off, but it's good enough reasons to at least keep an eye on it. Maybe got liquidity there, so it's maybe taking liquidity. Maybe taking liquidity, obviously sweep it, tap into it, let 1 minute break to the upside, and then buy up. Let's have a look at something else. Anyone got anything they want me to actually look over?
You?
Sweet, because I'm on it. Right, let's do a bit of a full analysis. So, we are long. So I think this played out beautiful for a 4-15 the other week. Tuesday, 25th. Yeah, nearly a couple of weeks ago now. So we're obviously bullish on. I mean, I'm claiming my 4 hours bullish. I have to look at all this as well. Let's check higher, see where the higher time frame is. So, I mean, that looks bearish now, doesn't it? So, this is technically mid-range for me. So, I think higher time frame's bearish. So, obviously, we come down here, we make some. So, we get high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower, not a lower low yet. So, what I think current price is doing is maybe just coming up to mitigate something before it then sells off big time. So, where might that come from is our job to find out. So, I'll just go to the daily so I can see a bit. Well, I didn't want the 2 hour, I want the daily. Get rid of the seconds for now. Be interested in this. Yeah, see, it's tapped into that. Right, 4 hour it is then. This is so we've got this low put in. I think the high's there now, technically. Oh, wrong one. So we put in a low, put in a high, pull back, put in a low, put in a new high. So I think we are possibly going to take the high. So this is not an easy structure. So there's a lot going on. So high, low, high, low, possible high. So I think we are on course to take the high, but what I was so when I marked that red zone, obviously I was interested because that's the first zone that looked like it had taken a low with possible a decent push away. So let me just delete some of this so you can see. So this is a bit of an order block in here. We get a little push away, if that moves out of the way. Here we get a decent push away there, and it's leads to this zone, this low here being taken. So if we look further back, we get a low, high, low, high, takes the lot, then takes the high. So we'll possibly bullish structure here, there, to a new high there, pull back, new high. This zone directly causes this 15-minute low to be taken. So as you see it there, break of structure there. I'm going to call it 15, but it might be the daily. 4 hours, sorry. So this would then be possible liquidity, just because obviously it gets wiped out. Favor over here taps into the zone that led to all this movement being pushed away. If this is the zone that it wants to come for, then we might well be. What I don't like is that I don't like that it hasn't taken this low here, because this is a low that put in this high. So at the minute, me 15-minute structure is, I think we're still bullish. I think we're going to take the high, but that doesn't mean I haven't got me structures wrong, and it might also come back to mitigate something up here and then obviously sell off. But the odds are in favour, I think, of a new high. It would have been really nice if it took that low, but then obviously this setup wouldn't have been present either. So there is a case for that. My structures are slightly off. So obviously week in, week out, I say that my 15-minute bullish structures make up a 4-hour leg, and my 15-minute bearish structures make up a leg. So obviously up here we can see sort of upwards trendings, and then obviously we get a new. Let's take this as a main high, for example. So we do possibly get, like I said, my structures are possibly wrong. So low, high, low, high. So that's two 15-minute bullish swings there. I'll just change the color, darken. Yeah. Then we possibly get two bearish swings. So low, high, retakes the low just. So now this is where we get a really sort of difficult and tricky move left. Yeah. So from there, this is the 15-minute break here, which we do with this candle here. It might be a case of structures just a bit of a shit house, and one of these is maybe a 15-minute low, and it's just not on my radar because I don't like it, basically. Could be. Obviously, I do sometimes get stuff wrong. It does happen. Just draw this. So, go to the hourly. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think long. Ideally, we would have seen this high get taken and a slightly bigger pullback, but it doesn't. So I think we're getting new highs. We're getting a new high, but the sell from where this is reacted from kind of makes sense for me that we would maybe continue the weekly downtrend that it's higher time frame on. So, like I say, this structure here, it makes sense to do it from where it is, but I don't know. It might still come higher and then turn around. Obviously, it could come way up here because there's obviously a trend line up here. sweep, so it might come higher to mitigate something in there still, which would make sense for it going higher. So yeah, not much help on that at the minute, but the buy is obviously I missed all the 1 minute entry sort of thing. I had the red and 15-minute zone marked. Just didn't catch that for whatever reason. But that would have been aiming for at least sort of like I mean that as a system 4-15-1 would aim for this to be taken anyway. So if cells are going to present themselves though, we'll obviously mitigate something in this high zone. So we'll have a look in it. Start new. Is that Trump's tariff time, 17th of September? I feel like it might have been. So it might, if it's going to sell off, it's probably coming into this. But again, I would still tell you to wait for a 1 minute break to downside anyway. Because this is possibly the 1 minute low. Does it take it? I'm assuming quite soon after that. Maybe that's the 1 minute low, but more than likely this. That might be worth talking about as well. Quick, just mark this up, make sure see if it's taken that one there. So that's news as well, more than likely. Yeah, it gets taken there. So I think that would be the 1 minute low anyway, that causes the sell off. Change it green. So the reason why I would count this as the 1 minute low rather than this. Now, obviously, we all view things as very slightly different, but this is such an aggressive push. There's major imbalance in this on the lower time frame, I'm guessing, because it's news. There'll be a huge bit of imbalance as it was released. So to show me bearish intent, so obviously it breaks it to the right here, there. To show me the actual intent of a proper break to the downside as a change of character, break of structure, whatever you want to call it, is this is always most likely to be filled. So I want to see what puts this in broken effectively. So let's say you could include this, but it's a bit on the risky side just because this is news release. So the odds on that being filled, and I'm assuming that's what this push up is. This is maybe a trap because people think it's going to fill that and then continue up. Obviously, it does them over eventually when it comes lower. So yeah, the cause of this big push, this low being taken is what I would consider clear intention of market direction, which is obviously breaker structure. But that being such a big push is the zone I'd want to see broken as intention. And it's the actual 1 minute low for me, I think, anyway. So this just looks like partial mitigation of this, and then it just continues sloppily up. So we get a high, low, high, low. Yeah, you'd be right in being mistaken, but that's the high there. That low's just after, so yeah, that's why I picked that one over anything else. And I'm assuming obviously you come back to mitigate something in here unless it's already done it. I ain't got my mouse, so I'm not actually gonna sift through candles to find an entry, but time frame. So it's coming up to that. Yeah, but that was it there. But that was what it's come to tap into, something like that. And then obviously it clears off and does its thing. Where have I gone? So yeah, still think long. That's me analysis, but as you see, if this is the next 1 minute low, something like that. Once we start breaking over lows, we pull back anyway. So this would have been the second entry. Must be here. Something in that. As we spoke about earlier. And then obviously it's up to current price about there. So leave that there. What will be a good indication of if it's going to not take the high as well is if we start to build up liquidity. So it's possibly taken some here, across here. Not quite, that might be taken.
You're not expect a deeper pullback after it took the last low there? Or last high, sorry.
So what, when it took
the last high and it's gone up, sort of virtually vertical.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you expect a bit of a pullback there?
So
or you think that's just internal?
Yeah. So this is what I was saying about the 15 though. So because I think this is all one push here. So anything it does, if this leg here that I'll highlight the top and bottom as well. So I'll turn it black. Very low. Something like that. So if that's the what I think is the current 15-minute bullish leg. Now we've come back and we've not taken the low. So as far as I'm concerned, on the 15-minute, we are still bullish. We've just pulled back very deep, and then we've done a little 1 minute break to the upside in here. So we broke multiple 1 minute lows in all these, which is fine because the one's going to change inside the 15. I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 times. It could be more, could be a couple less, obviously, but it's going to change a few times, which obviously is what it does, all this stuff. But because these two haven't been broken and 15-minute bullish is the way, I just expect it to come down somewhere in this leg, mitigate some 1 minute break to the upside, which is obviously what it did down here, and then obviously continue to make a new 15-minute high. That's the most probable. But price and structure is not always, we can't always pre-predict it. So me saying obviously a 1 minute breakdown in this leg is the start of the new 15-minute bullish leg. Yes, we can use rules confirmation.
Wouldn't you expect like a bit more of maybe a 5 minute retest or something like that on it?
It's very possible.
Looks like it could have come back and tapped back a bit.
Yeah, so obviously because structure's not clear. I mean, it will become clear over the next sort of few weeks, obviously, when it actually does what it's got to do.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's taken this high here, because we do obviously get a couple of like bearish swings going on here. So this high here is possibly this is maybe wrong, and if it is wrong, then this being taken is a new 15-minute high possibly, and it's maybe just coming, like I say, coming up here to mitigate something. It's very possible. It's just from what I can see, it's not clear, so sells are not on my radar. But like I said, I could be very wrong. I mean, if we come up here and get a 1 minute break to downside, chances are I'll take some. Maybe I'll reduce risk, but just because I think this is one leg, all this bullish, bearish swings is just internal. So it's irrelevant almost because it's not taking that high or that low. But like I say, there's a chance I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just noise, really, isn't it?
It's just noise. So while I do think we are going to take a new high, there's a chance I've got it wrong in here and I just haven't seen. I mean, there's a chance that I'm pretty sure that that's the high I wanted taken. So that confirms this 15-minute bearish swing. This might actually be a pullback here, and I'm just not counting it. I don't think it is, but if I'm wrong, then technically we've broke 15-minute, and we're just maybe coming back to mitigate something up here before we then make a new overall low. But I don't think that's the case. I do think high, but if I am wrong, and this is the obviously because this is the high that puts in this low, then this being taken is a major point as we've just done it. And if that is the case, then yes, we will pull back. And what we'll probably get is, I mean, there'll be something in that there maybe. If that's the case.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it might do something on those sort of lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just at a glance on this time frame, obviously,
I mean, on the 1 hour, is there a strong like bearish candle? It might bounce off or something like that.
Yeah. So just off a glimpse, we've got a couple of zones. So I like the look of this candle here, just because it's all wick.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would check the lower time frame to confirm what it is that's going on. We've got a decent push from here. And then we've got obviously this zone here. So
yeah, nothing's really touched. There's still a big candle on the left, the big red on the left. Nothing's really touched the top of that, has it?
Yeah, that one there. Do you mean
the one below it, really?
Yeah.
One below it. No, the big sell before the buy. That.
Yeah.
I would have thought something would come down and bounce off the top of that.
Yeah. So obviously, depending on the size of your structures and things as well, will depend on because you could argue that there's like an internal structure going on from this high. So we're making lower highs, lower lows.
It kind of looks like a juice run, doesn't it?
Yeah, you could argue that high being taken by this zone here. So there's a chance that price might want to come back to that. You know, it's again, this one maybe being taken, obviously caused by the one we've marked. That might be the reason. There might be liquidity. So at the quickest of glances, like I say, back it in. Stay. So there's possible trend line there. So that makes that one a good zone as well, because obviously this is what causes that to be taken. So obviously all we would do at the minute is if we start getting a pullback is we would mark these zones for reasons obviously that I've mentioned. And then obviously once price comes down to them, I'd check on, I mean, me personally, I would check the 10-second and just say there's an imbalance in there. If it taps that, and then I start getting like low time frame confirmations, chances are it's a good little zone, and obviously you hold it to where you feel comfortable with. But yeah, like just based look at, like I say, big push up. This zone causes that high to be taken. So probably a 1 minute high. Trend line, this causes that to be taken. Good little zone. Possible inducement below it with these, you know, and then obviously this one might show some on the even lower time frame. Hopefully some imbalance or something. Make sure it's not, yeah, we get a big push down. If there's imbalance here, obviously it would be a good enough zone to at least just mark up and set a layer on, you know. So because all you're trying to do is, obviously I always wait for the 1 minute break. So if price hits it and you get 1 minute break, that's all I'm watching for, really. Not the best looking, but something goes on in this, whatever that is, you know, it might be news and it might be filled. There's a little bit of an imbalance looking in there. Sort of, maybe. Not the best, but we're just trying to stack reasons as to maybe why I would mark an area. This one down here is probably what I'll actually come for. Decent push away here. I'm sure we'll build up liquidity above it. So, yeah. Overall long, possibly pull back soon. It's that previous leg's a bit of a mess though. So, well, it's just pretty much all bullish. This leg here, because it's all pretty much bullish. If it was taking lows beforehand, I'd be more inclined. So as I say, obviously the 1 minute makes the 15 minute up. So we get low, high, low, high, low. Could be any one of these, but it's no lows are getting taken in all this, which is why I think that's one leg.
Yeah.
So even on, if we look at the other structures, like we get a pull. Obviously we're not taking lows, we're not taking highs in this, so we're taking lows. Let me just zoom in a bit, and this is why I say the 1 minute makes up our 15. So we're taking lows on this one. Joe, take a low. Then obviously we get a pullback here, new low. Then we take the current high. So that confirms the start of the 15 minute, because the tighter structures inside the zone start breaking previous highs. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then again, as soon as we break this low,
makes sense. Yeah.
this is like the last low before we then start turning little, like
that's what really throws you, isn't it?
No.
What throws you with it is you get like a really long leg and then like a stumpy little one.
Yeah. So this is why it can be a bit frustrating at times, I guess, with structure, because sometimes it's for ages. Like that's obviously what, mid to late August. That's a month of price action just in one leg, you know. Whereas there's probably a month of price action in these two swings nearly, you know. It's just the way it is. But yeah. Right, I'm gonna
call. Not predictable, is it?
Yeah, well, I mean, if it was that easy to read, then everyone would be doing it, and everyone would be rich, and not everyone can be rich. So, yeah. Right, I'll call it there, guys.
Mate.
Nice one. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
See you all later.
Good night.
Get out of there.